Portland's Central City Task Force will present its recommendations for bringing Portland back at the Oregon Business Plan's Leadership Summit on December 11th. Governor Kotek formed the task force in August. It is co-chaired by the governor and Dan McMillan, CEO of the Standard. The nearly 50 members of the task force and several subcommittees have been meeting since then, and the entire city is awaiting their recommendations for fixing Portland. Andrew Hoan is a member of the Portland Central City Task Force. He's CEO of the Portland Metro Chamber, formerly the Portland Business Alliance. Thanks for returning to Eye on Northwest Politics.
It's great to be here, Ken. Thank you.
Well, Friday was the last meeting of the task force subcommittees in advance of the presentation in December. General issues include taxes, public safety, homelessness, livability, and making the most of what Portland has to offer. So what can you share about some of the recommendations that may gain some traction in the final presentation?
Sure. I think, well, a lot of this is really in the works, so there's nothing that is actually agreed on. I just came from the tax committee, and what I'll say this is that everybody needs to know is that every task force member, the governor and chair, Dan McMillan from the Standard, are completely committed to working together. You know, I think there's no question about what the actual issues are. We've moved past the problem statement, now it's in action, and people should be witnessing that live today. So we know this much: we were seeing Oregon State Troopers that are on downtown Portland Street, making sure that local beat cops are being supported, especially in interdicting the fentanyl crisis that we see every single day. So we are noticing those significant changes. So that's just a pure example that's happening already. We've seen the rapid movement to cleaning up Union Pacific's right-of-ways that are happening across the city, but especially here in downtown. But if people are looking for what's coming out, there is going to be a lot of recommendations here. Every level of government, the private sector, all working together to do things like cleaning up, whether it's voluntary or putting dollars behind services to make sure that graffiti is abated, trash removed, and the individuals who are on our street are rapidly moved into transitional housing and eventually permanent housing. So it's going to be a remarkable and a fairly robust list of things that are going to come out on December 11th, and folks should be watching with that. And onto the taxes piece of this, listen, we know we have a tax problem. It's probably the most complicated of all the issues we'll be dealing with, because we know they pay for critical services our community need, but right now we have a problem. We have way too high taxes. And so that committee in particular is going to grapple with how do we hold the line for now and evaluate the taxes that we have and make sure they're funding the things that we really care about and doing it the right way. So those are the things that will be coming out on December 11th, and people should stay tuned.
A lot of stakeholders on this task force. Are you concerned that in terms of actionable items that not everyone might buy into what the recommendations turn out to be?
Let's be blunt, right? We've had 2 years where people were separated because of the pandemic, and working together is a lost art. But I have seen now, because of this task force, when you put everybody into a room, yeah, there's friction. Yes, there will be disagreement. We will not get unanimity on every single item. But what we have for the first time is agreement that people need to start talking to each other, rolling up their sleeves, no excuses to get things done, and people have to have answers for why they're not following through on recommendations. I think a part of this is accountability to doing what voters have asked those in office, as well as agencies and the private sector, to do, to step up. So I don't think you're going to have a perfect answer, a perfect solution. Far from, or perfect agreement, but we are going to have clear and obvious lines of communications going forward and no more excuses.
There's been some criticism of the task force in the sense that a lot of the work has been done behind closed doors, that the public hasn't really been privy to what you've been talking about. How do you respond to that?
Listen, it's okay to let people talk it out, and not to be performing live in an audience. I think it's really hard for people, especially those that have to be reelected, to our elected leaders. Sometimes you got to think things through, and if you're live on camera or you're answering questions from the public, it doesn't let you process it like anybody else, any normal person would be expected to do so. I reject that. Listen, the recommendations are going to be public. They're not binding, so nobody should feel like whatever comes out of this will actually occur or not occur. It's just simply an opportunity for people to just get together, voice their concerns, and come to consensus if they can. So I just think those are ridiculous criticisms.
Yeah, the biggest problems are pretty obvious, and we've talked about them forever, it seems like, in this community. Homelessness, open drug use. We've got high office vacancies downtown in the business community. A general feeling that downtown Portland is unsafe. Is it realistic to expect that Portland can overcome all of these problems, especially in the short run?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're not talking about something that other people haven't done. Let's stop thinking about ourselves in a bubble. Other cities have grappled with the exact same issues. And so public safety isn't a new issue. It's an important issue right now, and I think the feeling of public safety is directly linked to the fact that we have an absolutely noxious substance on our street, which is fentanyl, and it is both killing the people that are using it and is a massive issue for those who come into our center city. And we've seen significant improvements because we've invested in public safety resources that are getting the folks that are dealing off the streets. So I think those are simple solutions that don't, this isn't rocket surgery. You know, we are making the simple actions that should have been made before, but for the fact that people weren't talking to each other, we were not getting to solution spaces. And we're proving the concept today by getting more law enforcement present in downtown. And we're seeing the results. I'll bring this up. We track recovery numbers here. And basically where we are today in office employees coming into these big buildings, what I would call the lifeblood of downtown, we're at about 2/3 of the way recovered to where we were in 2019. And because of hybrid work, I think we can acknowledge that's probably the baseline moving forward. You know, most people are in the office 2/3 of the week. And so getting to about 2/3 of where we were in 2019, that's probably where we can say this is not a comparison to pre-pandemic times anymore. So the results are happening. You can see the trend lines emerging. And I just think it's a matter of doubling down on what's already working, such as this combination of Oregon State Troopers and local police. That is a perfect example, textbook on what we need to do more of.
You talked about the downtown office buildings. Is there any thought of reimagining how that open space that will not be returned to because of hybrid work can be used in a different way?
Absolutely, and it's a combination of both visioning what we should be as well as how do you combine issues on the tax committee, right, to make sure that office is more attractive. And we know this. We need more humans in downtown, aggregate, more people. That's what makes downtown so exciting. And the missing leg of the stool here is housing. And that's twofold. We need housing because we need this region to be more affordable. So we have to produce more housing, period, full stop. Where better than to put it right here in downtown in all levels of affordability. We have to have deep affordability for folks that will work here and serve in our hospitality industries and other places like that. And we need luxury, just like we have at the Ritz-Carlton. We need everything in between. So first step, deeply densify the downtown core because we need housing badly. We need to produce it for our region's economy, and it will make downtown more vibrant and the office component too more attractive because who doesn't want to wake up, roll out, get a cup of coffee, walk across the street, do a little bit of work, head home for the afternoon, whatever. It's a perfect life as far as I'm concerned. So that's what's going to be coming out, I believe, and that's where we need to get to is more housing in the downtown core.
You mentioned the Ritz-Carlton. It just opened up a couple of weeks ago on Portland's West End, $600 million project. Is it enough to revitalize that section of downtown, or what role do you think that that project will have on downtown's comeback?
This is a symbol, and this is where you sit and just you hear the national narrative on Portland and also ourselves. Let's be honest. We are our own worst enemies talking trash about our own community. It's unacceptable, right? Portland is a great city. We just built a $600 million mixed-use hospitality, food court, hotel, housing, and office all in one single building right here in the heart of downtown across the street from a brand new spec office building at 11W. Okay, so let's just reject the narrative. Portland can do big things. Its revitalization is happening. People should be bullish on Portland. We're doing it, folks. It's happening. You can see it with your own eyes. It's a symbol. It's a restorative symbol for our city to be able to accomplish this. And I'm proud because I frequent the Ritz-Carlton, support the local economy at the lobby bar, and I'll continue to do so with my full spirit.
And we don't have time to talk about it, but what you have started an initiative to get people to come downtown and shop with pop-up shops and the like. So there's another opportunity there. Andrew Hoan, thank you so much for being here on Eye on Northwest Politics.
It's great to see you, Ken. Thank you.